And now back to the Gunsmith Show with John and Jake Smith.
All right, we are back, and it is a Saturday morning, so it's Gunsmith Show time. I hope you got that coffee filled up, and we are joined today by Attorney Tim Cassady. Tim, welcome aboard.
Good morning.
Well, glad to have you on board, buddy. And Jake, I know you have been working on a list of questions for Tim. You've been compiling over the months of our listeners and our people that interact with us on this show.
That's right.
Compiling questions. And first of all, Tim, how the heck are you?
Doing very well. It's
Good.
Always great to be on here.
All right. Now, folks, remember our numbers in the studio are 810-743-8255 or toll free 866-533-1530. Now, Tim, you've been an attorney for quite some time. You're like, what, 150 years old? You've been, were you part of that Constitution thing? What's going on?
Not that old.
No.
I'm getting grayer by the minute.
Oh, me too. Let's not go there. Shouldn't have even brought it up. I deserve it, though. So, Jacob, you want to lead him into this, or do you want to, or should we let Tim talk about his personal life? Anything you got to get off your shoulders?
If he wants to talk about his personal life, I guess.
You'll lose listenership real fast. Let's stick with gun laws.
Okay, we'll talk about gun laws.
All right. Well, as of what happens about that first couple of days of the month, of every month, the Michigan State Police releases their CPL numbers.
Oh, yes.
And that's going to be a major part of our conversation today. But this is just an update of how many active CPL holders there are in the state of Michigan as of November 1st, 2014.
Interesting.
There are currently 451,300 active CPL holders. August 1st, there was 445,701.
Wow.
So we're still growing.
That's a pretty good percentage.
Yeah.
Because if you add that, if you're doing quarters like that, that's 20,000 a year.
And it's significantly increased since December of last year.
Yes. Well, conditions have been changing around the world too, that's for sure. And here in Michigan.
Now, there's a lot more numbers to go over with that. But we have a question before we get to that.
Okay.
And it still relates to CPLs. So, this is a question we actually had from a caller last week. Who says
directly to Tim?
Directly to Tim. Yeah,
I'm ready.
You stay out of it, Dad.
Okay, I'll shut my mic off.
Go over there. Shoot, sit in the corner. All right. As a CPL holder, can I carry my wife's handgun? But she's a legal gun owner, but not a CPL holder. So, the question would be, could the CPL holder carry his wife's handgun?
Great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Did you guys jump into it last week? Or
We didn't, because we thought if we gave him an answer and it was wrong,
you'd feel bad.
We'd rather just wait to ask
This
you.
might have been a domestic dispute we were trying to,
Yeah.
because she might have said, "Get your hands off my gun." He goes, "I got a CPL, I can carry it." So
Maybe a good thing we didn't answer it last week.
Could be
that cooling down period.
Yeah.
No, I can answer that for you. Sure. MCL, Michigan compiled laws 28.432. 28.432. Actually referred to, and I have no idea who this lady is, Janet Kukuk, K-U-K-U-K Act, states that an individual can carry another person's firearm as long as that firearm is properly licensed under the Act and the person carrying it under these circumstances has a valid CPL.
Wow.
They are permitted to do so.
Very good. Good answer.
Okay.
So there's an answer,
That
folks.
was honestly a lot shorter of an answer than I was expecting.
I
I really thought it would have been a long, kind of a big thing, but that's pretty simple and straight to the point.
Yeah, the Michigan legislature covered that one for you.
Good. We're glad to hear that. Now, for some reason, I wanted to write that number down because in the future, I want to be able to say, well,
According to MCL 28.432.
Well, throw the name of the act out there. That really
there you go.
The Kukuk Act.
The Kukuk Act.
I'm not going there. I'm just not going to go there. Now, very good question because it's been asked of me, and because I got a lot of buddies that come over, and like we've got friends that do a CPL class, and they come over and borrow some of my guns. Hey, we need some guns. Can we borrow some guns? Yes. And they reassured me that it was totally legal. And I'm just like,
Yes.
It's one of those nail biters. Boy, I hope they're right. You know, did I just fall prey? Why did they have ski masks on? No, it wasn't that bad. But
now you can sleep better.
I can sleep better now.
Well, that was all right. So, caller, if you're still listening today, I hope you are. You are completely in the clear to carry your wife's handgun as long as you're a licensed CPL holder. And I would have to think that works both ways if they're both CPL holders.
Well, technically, as long as the gun is properly licensed. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's good.
And the person who's carrying it is carrying it legally.
Okay.
So let's say you're not a CPL holder, and you carry it how you would or meant to carry it without a CPL, in the trunk, broken down, lockbox, separated from the ammunition, etc., etc. That is permitted as well.
Okay.
So there's. If you read the entire statute at 28.432, it does reference you back to another statute that says as long as it's legally carried, that is permitted. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, and it's good information too because we've got a lot. I've got a whole bunch of my family is open carry guys. They're not big into carrying concealed, but they hunt a lot, and they always open carry, and they always have little, they always have those little wonder moments. It's like, I hope I'm doing this right. And, with guns, I never want to have anything that can take my guns away from me.
Sure.
So we got to dot those I's and cross those T's, guys. So, and gals.
Well, you mentioned open carry.
Yes.
And that brings us to our second question. And after there's been a lot of news about this over the past couple of weeks, is it legal to open carry on public school grounds?
It's an interesting question too because it when I got hit with it, I was like, this one's going straight to Tim.
Well, and this is a more involved question. Here's going to be your longer answer, Jake, for sure. And I always come armed with the law, so I'm flipping around through my law books and whatnot. But
we'll play some music while you're doing it.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Couple things. You have to kind of take this step by step, so that's the way I'm going to go with this.
Okay.
Cut me off if I'm going too in depth. First of all, we want to make sure that we understand what we're talking about in terms of schools. And a lot of times we just think about the actual school building. Some of the laws pertain to school property as well. That's the sports fields outside. That's the actual grounds around the buildings. And it also sometimes, depending on what law we're talking about, also covers school property and school vehicles that transport children, i.e. buses.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, we want to talk about the weapon-free school zones. And most of us who are not CPL holders who do that would be in possession of a firearm, whether open carry or not, are not permitted to have weapons in weapon-free school zones. So the school building, school property, transportation for schools. There are exceptions, obviously, peace officers being one. The other exception being someone who has a valid CPL. They are exempted from the weapon-free school zone violations. So that's the first thing that we need to talk about. So we got that kind of covered. Now, what can CPL carriers do or not do? Well, we know that there are weapon or pistol-free zones. Pistol-free zones. Schools are one of those pistol-free zones. And again, that means the school building as well as the school property. There is the exception to the pistol-free zone where you're picking up or dropping off the kids as long as you remain in the car and it's pick up or drop off, you're okay to carry concealed under that exception to the pistol-free zones. Now, the pistol-free zones only prohibit a CPL holder from carrying that pistol And also, we all know now with CPLs, that's your tasers as well. They can only carry, they can not carry concealed in pistol-free zones such as schools. So if I have a valid CPL, I am allowed to carry with my valid CPL openly or open carry on school grounds, school property. Okay?
Wow.
All right. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we all have to keep in mind when we carry open, we're
Right.
going to be drawing attention to ourselves.
Right.
The chaos that
And
ensues when
the-
you walk into a school.
Exactly. And, don't think that you're just going to be able to walk onto that school property and not draw some attention to yourself. But under the CPL law, it does say that someone with a valid CPL can carry in pistol-free zones openly, and that would include school properties.
Very interesting question.
Wow.
And like you said, it's a long answer, and it's very segmented. That's a deep one, and thank God for legislation that can figure that stuff out.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got two different statutes, two completely separate statutes, kind of working independently from one another. However, they overlap.
Yeah.
Weapon-free school zones, we see the signs all the time. That applies to all of those who are not CPL holders. And then you have the CPL legislation and what the law says for us, a CPL holder.
Wow.
So if got a CPL, want to go run into the school, and you do feel the need that you need to carry, it needs to be viewable and open carrying.
Yep.
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
And just be mindful of
Yeah.
how school personnel,
Right.
or if your school has, police on the property, it may cause somebody to stop you.
You might need to set aside a few hours for litigation.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah, you might be detained for a while. So yeah, it's interesting. That's all I
Very.
can say. That's an odd one. What's the next question, Jacob?
Well, before we go to break, we have one other question, which it's a somewhat simple question, and I say it because we preach it all the time, but I just want to hear it from the again, especially when we're talking about this. Because of these numbers that came out this month for CPL holders, there's another bigger number too that was on that list. 23,000 in the state. 23,000 CPL holders, their licenses have expired. What does it take to renew your license as a CPL holder, and is every county different?
No.
No?
Quick answer, and I don't know when we're going to go to break. No, not every county is different. It is universal throughout the state.
Just to be clear, we go to break when you're done talking.
Excellent. Well, then I'm very good. I like to be in control like
There you
that.
go.
I don't
You
get
might-
that at home.
Sir, you have the mic.
All right. No, and you can find this. It is within your materials when you pick up your CPL application. It does mention renewal process. The things that you need to be mindful of: you cannot submit a renewal application more than 6 months before the expiration of your license. So you have to get into that 6-month window. Then you're going to submit your renewal application with the proper fees that need to be paid to the county where you received your CPL from. And then you wait for that renewal process to go through the gun board. There is an exception that I don't know if everyone is aware of. You can still carry concealed after the expiration of your CPL if you have your renewal application submitted on time, up to 180 days after the expiration, as long as you carry that expired license along with the receipt that shows you've paid the fees and submitted the application.
Very informative.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have some
That's
time.
good to know.
All right. So don't think that just because it's expired, but you always have to have that expired license and the receipt in hand if you're stopped by law enforcement.
Mine just expired, Tim.
Yep.
My birthday was last month, and I popped in, I think, the first week of October, turned in all my paperwork, and
You had it back.
I had it in 12 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
12 days. So
Yeah. They're moving much quicker than they used to.
and they tell you at the counter.
They probably said, "Well, this guy talks about us on the radio all the time.
No.
We don't want to get him angry."
I did bring a large dish of candy with me. That
Yeah.
might have helped.
I was hoping you gave my business card with it.
Yeah. I keep
You
that
better
tucked
not,
right
you
behind
better
my
not tell me
CPL.
no. You better not tell me no.
The big guy's my attorney, So, are we ready to go to commercial break? Is that good enough?
That sounds good to me. Thank you, Tim. We'll be.
I hate to say good enough. That was very informative. So
I
thank
got
you.
a little bit more. I can do that on the other side of the break, though.
Okay.
Yeah,
We can
just
do
a
that.
little more.
Well, let's go to commercial break. And Tim's dying to hear his commercial anyway. So, Kevin, take us away.
Man's got to know his limitations.
You just can't spend a whole day at the gun store anymore.
Thankfully, the crew at Williams Gun Sight Company has created the best way to spend the day at the gun store by doing it online.
WilliamsGunsight.com is the way to shop for your used handguns, rifles, shotguns, and more, with thousands of guns in stock for your total gun shopping experience.
Check out WilliamsGunsight.com and find your perfect match today.
Attorney Timothy J. Cassady is the pro-gun attorney that we here at the Gunsmith Show use.
With more than 20 years of experience as a prosecuting attorney, law professor, and holding a past seat on the Genesee County Gun Board,
Tim Cassady is your pro-gun attorney.
contact Attorney Cassady today at 810-569-5441 or email him at attorneycassidy@gmail.com. If you want your home to feel sound when you are not around, call Pal Alarm. To protect your safekeepings and stop anyone from peeking, call Pal Alarm. When the house gets locked down so you can get out of town, call Pal Alarm. Give Pal Alarm a call today at 810-908-8298. That's 810-908-8298 or palalarm.com.
And now back to the Gunsmith Show with John and Jake Smith.
If you'd like to talk to John or Jake, call now, 810-743-8255.
All right, we have a clarification.
We do.
An email address. Tim, give us that email address one more time.
It would be ATTY Cassidy, CASSADY, at gmail.com.
Okay, ATTY Cassidy.
CASSADY.
There you go.
Yeah, not like Butcher
Very
Hop
good.
Along. We're ADY instead of IDY.
I never even thought of that. That's great.
Yeah.
It's not Butcher Hopalong, it's Attorney or Tim.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's not even go to the David or Sean era.
Not
a big fan of that.
Come on now.
No.
Well,
I am old enough to remember that.
Well, yeah. Who doesn't want to ride around a painted bus?
Dad still has that tattoo on his shoulder.
I do. No tattoos. And I appreciate you being on with the air with us again. It's Attorney Tim Cassady. He's here. He's been a friend of ours for years. Every time I've ever had a question concerning guns legally, he has been able to answer that for me. We shoot together. We have a lot of fun together. We go to church together. We got a good relationship, Tim. I'm glad you're on our side.
Well, likewise.
I'd hate to have you on the other side,
No.
the dog side.
Good
But,
friends, and it's an honor to be here.
Well, thanks for being here,
here.
bud. Jake, you want to lead us into what's next? Well, actually,
we
Tim
have-
wanted to finish.
Exactly.
Just real quick, because I know you want to get into some other questions. Fingerprints for renewals. No fingerprints if they were submitted originally and maintained by the Michigan State Police. Michigan State Police have been maintaining fingerprints since January 1 of 2006. So if you got your permit before January 1, 2006, you'd have to resubmit your fingerprints. After January 1, 2006, you do not. And lastly, safety training. A lot of people wonder about safety training. You need to sign a certification that says that you did a 3-hour review of the safety training that you took originally and 1 hour on the range in the preceding 6 months before the renewal application.
I thought we had to do 1 hour on the range every week. That's what I told my wife. That's why she lets me go to the range.
More is better than less. There you go.
Well, a week without the gun range makes me weak, so I can't have
No,
that.
it's seven. Never mind.
A week without that.
7 days without the gun range makes 1 week. That's the joke.
Hey, my joke, your joke.
Your joke didn't make any sense.
I'm older than you.
A week
They
without.
never-
Oh, no. I ruined the joke. I'm
whatever,
sorry.
whatever.
Wait a second. I didn't say that. Okay, 7 days. All right.
All right, Jake.
We
take
have
us
more
away.
questions here.
All right.
Sometimes, Dad, I don't know what to do.
Well, you'll push
All
me
right.
out in a wheelchair one
Now,
day. So.
Yeah. All right, well, we talked. Okay, there are currently 451,300 active CPL holders in the state of Michigan. Some numbers, though, in Genesee County, in the month of October, there are 422 licenses declined.
Really?
Yeah.
Denied license.
What leads? This is a question for Tim. What leads to a license being declined?
Oh, okay. And I should mention, because I did spend about 15 years on the Genesee County Gun Board, and I think it's still true today. They do truly try to approve, as long as it is legal, they will work with legal gun owners to get them approved as best they can. But the law is the law, and their hands can be tied. Number one, do they meet the state requirements? Are they at least 21 years of age? Are they a citizen of the United States? Have they been a citizen of the state of Michigan for at least 6 months? Did they complete their proper training and show certification for it? Do they not have any mental health history? If they are currently receiving mental health treatment, even if that treatment is working, that could prevent someone from receiving their CPL. Do they have a prior felony conviction?
Oh.
Does someone have a PPO taken out against them?
Yeah, I imagine that's
could
probably a
see-
big one.
I could see that as being a large one.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you go and apply with a turban with an AK-47 on your shoulder?
I want to carry a gun.
I'm moving past that one.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Or there are a list of enumerated misdemeanors
Oh.
Yes.
that can preclude someone, and a lot of people don't know what those misdemeanors are, and they pick up a misdemeanor charge and they just go down and they plead to it, and they don't realize that can affect your CPL licensing anywhere from 3 to 8 years.
Wow.
One of the ones that always popped out with me was the medical marijuana. Now, I know that was kind of a gray area, wasn't it? Where it
still is.
Is it?
That's my understanding. I don't know how the gun board, at least in Genesee County or respectively, each gun board can treat it differently. Some gun boards are saying that it is a violation of federal law, and if it's a violation of federal law,
Right.
that can preclude you. I know some gun boards in some counties are saying that, well, the federal government really isn't enforcing marijuana laws, and therefore if they're not going to enforce it, we aren't going to enforce it.
I saw it at the counter at Williams. I think we discussed it last time you were here.
Right.
A young fella next to me, probably in his mid to late 20s, was filling out the paperwork, and he was stuck on that marijuana question on there, and finally he left. He finished. He said, I guess I can't buy a gun anymore. He was distraught. You should have seen the look on his face.
Sure.
And so I tell people that, be careful with medical marijuana. It might not be the answer you're looking for, because once you agree to those things, who knows what you're going to be precluded from in the future.
Well,
right?
that's exactly
or
right.
excluded from, I guess.
Yeah, they should contact an attorney of some sort
Yes.
to help them with that. And even if you have the medical marijuana card and somehow are possessing a firearm or get a CPL and are able to carry concealed, they still have to remember you can't carry concealed while under the influence.
Right.
So if you even have that medical marijuana card, how, it takes a long time for that to get out of your system. You probably can't carry for quite a while. You run the risk.
Yes, certainly do.
Okay.
That's interesting. I hope they never have to have a medical coffee card, because I will be under the influence all the time. But what's
right,
next, Jake?
Well, we have another numbers question.
Tim,
okay.
you wanted to say something else?
Just one last thing. People should understand, if they are arrested and charged with a misdemeanor, and oftentimes maybe in a plea bargain they offer you a lesser charge, you want to make sure that charge is not going to affect your CPL before you plead to it.
Very good.
So just
Good
check
advice.
that list.
Again, Attorney Tim Cassady is with us today on the Gunsmith Show. We're talking gun laws, and we're discussing some frequently asked questions. about gun laws that would come up here on the show and questions asked to the show.
Right.
So, Tim, give everybody how to get a hold of you one more time, would you?
Sure. Cell phone 810-569-5441. Email address attycassady@gmail.com.
Awesome. And if you ever have any questions, you can go right to our website, thegss.com, and link right to Tim, and you'll get his contact information there as well. So we have more to talk about.
We do.
And Jacob, I'll let you take it away.
All right. In the same period of time, in October, 398 CPL licenses were revoked. I just like the word revoked.
I know you do.
And 277 were suspended. What is it? Somewhat the same circumstances for a license being declined?
Somewhat the same,
Okay.
exactly. There are, obviously, if someone is arrested and convicted for a felony,
Okay.
upon conviction, the valid CPL would be revoked. If they are arrested and convicted of a misdemeanor, they will also, that comes to the attention of the gun board, they will have their permit revoked. There's some other suspensions. Obviously, if you carried in a pistol-free zone improperly, that could lead to a suspension. If you repeatedly do that, that can lead to a revocation. If you're carrying while under the influence, and the standard is only a .02 BAC, they can, 0.02 BAC, they can revoke your CPL.
I looked at a drink.
You have one. And
Yeah.
remember, it's not just while drinking. You got to wait for that BAC to come back down to zeros before you start carrying again.
Right.
That can cause a revocation. And then there are civil infractions that if you get 3 or more within a licensing period, they can revoke your, suspend your CPL to up to a year. What are the civil infractions? Failing to have your CPL license when you carry.
Yeah.
Failing to display it when asked by law enforcement. And the biggie that catches a lot of people is failing to disclose you are a CPL holder and carrying when stopped by law enforcement.
That's one of those things we have to practice, and we have to remember, I have my license, I have my CPL, and I have Tim's card right behind that, and that's exactly how I keep it in that order, so that when I pull it out, I have all 3 in my hand when I get pulled over for anything. But get yourself in that mental mindset, because just you were speeding, or you're maybe rolled a stop sign and you're going to get pulled over. Pull those out and have them ready, and be ready to disclose and not disrobe, disclose. So it only goes so far. But anyways, and just you have to practice, because our lives get busy, and you certainly don't want to lose your rights.
I always tell when I teach a CPL class, first words out of your mouth: I have a CPL license and I'm carrying. Law enforcement will come up and ask, why I pulled you over, or license, registration, insurance, and you get distracted. First words out of your mouth: I'm a CPL license holder and I am carrying. Have to train yourself. That's the first thing you say. Law enforcement will appreciate that. Obviously.
Don't say it as you're stepping out of the car.
Yeah. No, make sure your hands are right on the wheel.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
By the way, I've got a piece on me.
No, but if you do that, and not that you're going to get out of a ticket, but law enforcement truly appreciates that law-abiding citizens have CPLs, and they appreciate that.
Yes.
I'm sure. Yep,
We don't hear
absolutely.
that enough, but we know it's true.
Yep.
We know it's true, because we wouldn't have the support that we do have, be it not.
Right.
On that note, I heard something, and this is about laws. The other night, I had on the Sportsman's Channel, which I just realized I have, and I don't know why, but it just popped up. And on that channel, we had a very clear definition of NRA ILA, and it was the best definition. I actually grabbed Jake and said, "Jake, you got to hear this." And the NRA, of course, is the organization I belong to. Jake and I are both life members, and Tim, I've never asked you if you're a member or not, but and that's private. But the ILA, I always thought it was It's the Institute for Legislative Action, and I always thought it was kind of the wing that goes of the group that goes towards laws and legislation on, trying to keep the pro-gun laws going and working on getting the new people, keeping people in office and new people in office. He said it very clearly, and it goes back to John Dingell in 1968. That it was put together to defend gun laws and to teach, and I was very impressed with it. It was a very clear depiction that we're the defending arm of the NRA to defend the government against to defend against the government for being too oppressive to gun owners, and quite impressed. So if you're not a member, by God, you need to join.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's right.
Let's go to commercial break. Jake, you got more to talk about?
We do.
I know. So
our gun of the week is coming up.
Uh-oh.
So stay tuned for our gun of the week right here on the Gunsmith Show. If you want your home to feel sound when you are not around, call Pal Alarm. To protect your safekeepings and stop anyone from peeking, call Pal Alarm. When the house gets locked down so you can get out of town, call Pal Alarm. Give Pal Alarm a call today at 810-908-8298. That's 810-908-8298 or palalarm.com.
Attorney Timothy J. Cassady is the pro-gun attorney that we here at the Gunsmith Show use.
With more than 20 years of experience as a prosecuting attorney, law professor, and holding a past seat on the Genesee County Gun Board,
Tim Cassady is your pro-gun attorney.
Contact Attorney Cassady today at 810-569-5441 or email him at attorneycassidy@gmail.com.
This is John Smith from I Can Build That. Every building has a roof, and peace of mind comes from having a good roof. That's why the I Can Build That team trusts DuraGuard Roofing for all their commercial roofing needs. So if your business needs a new roof, call DuraGuard Roofing at 691-9243. That's 691-9243. Free estimates, free inspections. That's DuraGuard Roofing. We trust them. You can too. DuraGuard Roofing, 810-691-9243.
And now back to the Gunsmith Show with John and Jake Smith.
All right, Kevin, as always, thanks for pushing all the buttons here on the Gunsmith Show. I appreciate you being there, buddy, and a fellow gun enthusiast and a good friend of the show. We have got a lot to talk about. Jacob, it is time on the Gunsmith Show to discuss the gun of the week.
Gun of the week.
Now, and then we'll go into details. You talk about the gun, and I'll ad lib, which makes my son's blood pressure go up.
All right. As we all know, there's a lot of options out there if you decide to hunt with a handgun.
Yes.
A lot of options, caliber-wise, everything. But don't think you're always going to be tied down to a revolver.
Okay.
There are options for semi-automatic handguns, magazine-fed, to hunt with. So the one we've picked today, it's from the European American Armory, also known as EAA. And this one is called the Witness Hunter.
I don't know if I like that name. The Witness is the
Harrison
line.
Ford dressed up as an Amish guy.
Yeah, it's got a beard trying to hide out. No, but the Witness, the EAA Witness, is a full line of their semi-autos.
Right. It's and the Hunter it's the Hunter model. This
Longer
one has
barrel,
it has
better sights. What else?
It's got the 6-inch long slide barrel.
Okay, so you're going to get much higher pressure, more accuracy, and more foot-pounds of energy at your point of impact on your game.
Now,
this is something you could easily deer hunt with.
That's the point. That's why it's called the Hunter.
Exactly. Well, I'm just explaining.
Okay. Now it's
my job.
It has two available chamberings.
Okay.
The first is the 45 ACP.
Very good. And
the second,
out of a 6-inch barrel, does quite well.
Yes. And the second is a 10 millimeter.
And as well, does quite well.
Yes.
Both these are very potent rounds for deer and medium-sized game.
Now, here's a cool thing.
What's that?
They have adjustable target sights.
Good.
But let's say you know you don't like iron sights on guns.
Right. Especially for deer hunting.
Especially for deer hunting.
Something a little different.
So why not offer the Witness Hunter, which they now do, with it's drilled and tapped, ready to mount a scope on it.
Who doesn't want a sidearm with a scope on it?
A 6-inch,
my question.
45 or 10 millimeter with a scope on it
Now,
for hunting.
Now let's talk legal for a minute.
That's right.
Legally, these guns both carry more rounds in them than you can legally hunt with in Michigan. True?
Correct.
In the magazine. So you will need a magazine stop permanently affixed to these magazines if you're going to carry them for hunting.
The 10 millimeter holds 14 plus 1, and the 45 holds 10 plus 1.
Very good. So if you were to purchase one of these, don't think you can run right out in the woods, because the last thing you want to do is have your gun confiscated.
You're brand
maybe
new.
Your truck. You might get in a lot of trouble with this, so don't be in this situation. You will need a permanent magazine stop put in, one or two of your magazines that you're planning on hunting with. So you'll just want to remember that. So in Michigan, that's where we're at. Now, we do that because our guns in Michigan for years have been hunting guns, lever action rifles, shotguns, our rifles. There are banana clips out there available, and I guess they just don't want to see. They don't trust people to hunt with more than 5 rounds or 7 rounds in the gun. Semi-autos, I believe, Jake, is 7 rounds, 5 rounds for rifles, but for
7 plus 1.
7
no
plus
more.
1,
It was no more than 8 rounds.
no more than 8 rounds in a handgun. Does that ring any bells to you, Tim?
That sounds correct to me.
Okay, very good. Thanks for being on my side on that one. Now, the MSRP on this gun, on these EAA Witness Hunters, is $1,293.
Yeah.
Now, they can be had for less than that. You can find them. Now, the long slides have been hunters for a long time. The very first one that really caught my eye years ago was the Javelina from
AMT.
That's right, AMT hardballer. They stretched it. It looked like it was a typo. And there's this great big gun called the Javelina. It was a 10 millimeter 45 size gun, 1911, with a 6-inch barrel and a tremendous hunting gun. The pressures you get out of a 10 millimeter and a 45 just from going that extra inch. It was so important to even to the Gaston Glock that he came out with 6-inch barrels for hunting for his 10 millimeter guns. And you've probably, if you've ever been a fan of Ted Nugent at all, you've seen it. He's got some of those. He basically hunts with the standard barrel, but if you go the 6-inch barrel ported on a Glock, tremendous gun as well.
Goat hunting the other night on TV with a 10 millimeter?
I didn't notice. I didn't see him.
One of those things when he was like running through the brush hunting a goat with a Glock and 10 millimeter.
Well, if it was Ted,
if it was anybody else, they would have been considered crazy. What is that nut job doing chasing around a goat in the woods?
Was it sure that wasn't the other guy?
No, it wasn't.
What's that other guy's name?
Razor Dobbs.
Razor Dobbs.
Anyways.
We watched him shoot an elk the other day with a 10 millimeter. It was pretty impressive.
There could be
what has it done? It's got me loading up special loads this year because, by gosh, I'm going deer hunting with my 45.
I hear this noise when we looking through the woods. What is? Oh, it's Dad running through the woods chasing a deer with his handgun out. Stop!
No.
Stop!
I said freeze. Deer didn't speak my language.
Your freedom's just been revoked.
No, I don't think so. But
and the single shot,
blind,
and the single shot rakes out across the woods.
If something gets close enough next week, you might just see me on Facebook with a picture of me and my 45 and Big Brown on the ground. So we'll see what happens.
All right. So the Witness Hunter.
Yes.
It's a different gun. They're a completely different grip. If you've never seen a Witness or held a Witness,
it's
style
basically
handgun.
what the Bren 10 was designed around. That style gun.
It's somewhat of a larger high power.
Yes, a high power on steroids. A Browning high power on steroids. Good looking guns. They fit the hand great, and they got excellent trigger pulls.
Yep.
A lot of these guns with minor modifications are turned into really IPSC guns and target guns.
Yes.
That are phenomenal, and they can easily stretch over $2,000 in cost. But they're really the machining is top notch. I had an EAA 45 just a few years ago. Really liked it, and good guns. I love the triggers. I love the feel. So it kind of feels. It almost has the same feel of one of my favorite guns, the Astra A80. in the A100 series of guns. It almost has the same feel in the hand,
Yep.
but actually a better trigger. So almost a light double action. So good guns to hunt with, though. But remember that magazine capacity.
That's right.
Don't be deceived, because I don't think they offer a smaller magazine, so it has to be done. You don't want to talk to the gunsmiths at Williams and have them modify those magazines for you, if they will. So on that note, Tim, I really appreciate you coming on board today. We always love having you on, and
Thank you.
your answering the questions is always so top notch. The guy, he stayed up all night studying so he could come in and talk to us.
Yep.
No, but I know he's missing something important this morning. He's always got important stuff going on Saturday mornings, and I appreciate you taking time to be on the show.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right, see you next week then.
All right.
Now, Jake, we're not sure exactly what we're doing next week, do we? But
I have a pretty good idea, but it's a secret.
Okay, but either way, you should hear us here on the radio next week. And I hope that you, if you are going to go hunting, be careful. Be very mindful if you're shooting. If you're out just practicing shooting, or if you're out, in the back 40, there's going to be a lot of deer hunters in the woods next Saturday. So be careful. Next Saturday's the 15th. So, and I really, really want you to be careful. We unfortunately lose some good Michiganders every deer season, whether it be by heart attack in the woods because it was your time to go, or shooting incidents. We really hate to hear about them. So let's make it a real safe season, and I hope you do make it a safe season. That's my 2 cents worth.
Yep.
Now, anything big going on other than the major construction at Williams?
Major construction at Williams. It's going to be pretty amazing what they're doing there. It's
This time next year, we'll be shooting indoors there.
That's right.
That's going to be pretty cool. So
Now, there is something we're working on our Facebook page, which is the Gunsmith Show. We're going to compile a list of our listeners' 10 favorite shotguns,
very good.
10 favorite rifles, and 10 favorite handguns.
We're going to keep tally.
We are.
And we want to know what you like. And because, we want to know what you guys want us to talk about.
And everybody better not answer a Remington 870. Because I swear, there's 1,000 other shotguns out there. Don't just pick that one.
Well, it's a lot of people's favorites.
It's like saying, well, I like apples.
Well, I really like Chevys,
Yeah, there's
okay.
a lot of other things.
That's okay.
So anyways, if everybody answers the 870, I'm going to give you my 9 other favorites.
You haven't had very good luck with Remingtons.
Well, no.
But that's okay. That's okay. Well, folks, Tim, take a minute, say goodbye to whoever you want to say goodbye to for this morning, or say hello to them on the radio. Anybody want to drop a name to?
Very depressing. Say goodbye, Tim.
I am coming home, I hope.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
You didn't tell me that.
Well, we got to get going, though. So I go ahead if you want to say hi to anybody.
No, I just, hopefully the family's alive and well
All right.
and listening.
All right, good.
All
Well, everybody have a great week. We'll talk to you next week right here on the Gunsmith Show.